You're gonna love this.
I want to hear it. I'm objective. You're critical.
Anico at the disco.
He's positive. Join the Mixtape 615.
Today, tomorrow, yesterday,
It is the dopest supporter group in all of Nashville.
forever.
Testing, 1, 2, 3. This is the Mixtape 615 podcast, and this is the place to be. We are here. We are the voice of the fans, and as you can tell, I am not Tunji. We are actually joined by a great guest this evening. Evening as far as recording, maybe morning for when you're listening.
Afternoon.
But my name is Austin, aka Wildman, aka Ginger Snap, aka the Fumbling Dublin, aka Chicky Parm, aka Redbeard, the dopest pirate in all the 7 seas. And we are going to keep this thing rolling. Logan, tell them who you are.
All right, guys, y'all know who it is. It's Logan, aka Beer Man, aka Manga Man, aka Merch Man, Lucky Logan, the Thunderbird with the Underberg. This is the Mixtape 615 podcast, and we have a special guest for you guys. If you are on the video, you already know. We've got our boy Valair. Valair, introduce yourself, my friend.
Valair Shabilla. I gotta come up with some, aka the Beast from the Middle East.
There you go.
Oh, there it is.
AKA, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Hey, the Beast from the Middle East, that was fire. That's easy.
All you need. That's it.
Yeah, that's it. I dropped the mic. We're good.
There you go.
Good.
Hey, when you hit it on the first try, it's easy.
Valair Shabilla here. I cover Nashville SC. That's it. That's a boring answer. I'll be the boring guy. While you guys
that's fine. That's fine.
Well, hey, that is definitely not a boring answer. This guy does a whole lot. You've probably seen it recently. 615 Soccer is taken off with Ben Wright, a couple other guys on there, but then Pharmaceutical Soccer, they are the longest running, if I do remember correctly, y'all are the longest running podcast that has covered the team, right?
Yes, we started back in 2019 when the team was in USL. And I will not encourage anybody to go listen to those episodes in 2019. They were very different than our show currently. We are, like you said, part of the 615 Soccer Mafia, network, whatever you want to call it. And I am part of both. I write a little bit for 615 Soccer. I co-founded 615 Soccer, obviously co-founded Pharmaceutical Soccer. So these are all places where you can go and get Nashville SC stuff. So if you like this podcast, you're like, Mixtape is my thing. That's what I listen to. I want a little bit more. That's where you go and you get a little bit more.
There you go. Not only that, awesome. But man, you're also the founder of Kicking It 615. We can't leave that out. It's one of the best youth soccer programs in the Nashville area, in my opinion. They are awesome. I know we've done the last 2 years a gear drive for you guys. It's awesome. So that the families don't have to, have anything else other than just show up with fun.
Yeah. So Kicking It 615 is a local nonprofit organization. And what we focus on is getting soccer to kids who cannot afford to play soccer. Anybody who's been around soccer in the United States knows how much it costs and how kids in the areas that we serve just don't have that sort of money, and parents don't have that sort of money. So go to our website, chaos615.org, to learn more. We do a ton, and we've been around since 2020. Really been a community-driven, specifically even supporters-driven endeavor. And, we help out as many kids as possible with this. Soccer is like the tool that we use, but we're really teaching them a lot about teamwork and having a normal thing that you go to practice every week and you go play a game. There's a referee and there are teammates and there's a coach. And that sort of stuff really builds a lot of confidence. There's a lot of studies out there, especially with girls. Team sports just pushes that and gives so much confidence to these kids that maybe in other days have to worry about, adult problems, So it's really been a fulfilling thing. And I've kind of stepped a little bit backwards from it. But like you said, I did found it and the people, we have incredible team of volunteers currently running it, and everybody does an incredible job to help out as many kids as possible. That's our goal.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. That is a little bit more of a teaser. Obviously, all of that is a little bit more of a teaser what we're getting into in a little bit. But there's been a lot of soccer news out there in the world this year. And just this weekend, we saw the first ever team in the MLS win an entire match without taking a single shot on net. This is insane that has happened.
It's without taking a single shot, period.
Oh, yeah. No, excuse me. Yeah, not just on net.
No shot.
0 expected goals, 0 shots, 0 shots on target, obviously. I've never seen that happen in the game of soccer, just myself, but it's the first time in 30 years that this has happened with the MLS as a whole. It's insane. From that being the case, and let's take it a little bit more worldwide with PSG. I know, Valair, I'm sorry, Arsenal fan over here. You're an Arsenal fan over here, much like Tonji and a few of our other friends, but PSG looking like probably the best team in the world right now when it comes to club soccer. They are insane, moving on with a 3-1 aggregate into the Champions Cup final. And so there's a lot of soccer news out there, but we want to bring it back into Nashville. Well, kind of into Nashville. We're going to bring it down to Atlanta a little bit because we've got a little bit of a match rewind we need to hit. Austin, take us away.
Yeah, absolutely. Nashville went into the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. If you listened to our last podcast, you heard us having our friends from the 5 Takes on the 5 Stripes on our podcast. So that was a fun one. Nashville did go in and had can we say a come from behind draw? Is that a thing? So they did have a draw with Atlanta 1-1. Dan Lovitz gets his is that second goal of the season. He's got 2 goals, 3 assists, most goal contributions by a defenseman in the MLS. So he is having a year. So we are excited about that. We are going to get right into it. Valair, let me start with you since you are the guest. Dan Lovitz, I want to stay on that for a second. He scored his second goal this season and set a new career high, with 2 goals. How big is that moment for a player who's typically more known for like his defensive role?
Yeah, I think it's a nice addition to add to your game. I think the assist portion was always something he had in his locker. I don't think anybody expected him to score 2 goals all season, let alone 2 goals in the first 11 matches. I don't think he expected to score 2 goals. I think it's interesting to talk about this one because of how he was discussed coming into this season, because he was one of the most people I heard mentioned when it came to replacing and having a different left back.
100%. I will own up to it. I was one of those people.
Yeah,
I apologize.
I think it's fair. You look at a 33-year-old, you look at like Nashville SC 2.0 and BJ Callahan was trying to build. You want to get younger, you want to move towards. And I think what's interesting about him is that there was no one challenging him who was younger. Taylor Washington is there, but Taylor Washington is only a couple years younger. Right?
I would say he's 30, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. So you're not really looking at a guy where, like on the right, for example, even if Andy Nahar isn't the answer for the next 3 years, you have Julian Gaines, who they are very high on. Josh Bauer's been really good there too.
Dude, he's been great.
So when you look at the left side, I think that's why a lot of fans and media just kind of looked at an area of improvement, and that was kind of the natural area they looked at. Now, Dan Lovitz has done this for Nashville SC for a while, and he comes in and gives a solid performance year after year. I think there was a little bit of a dip last season, but every single Nashville SC player had a dip last season.
Yeah, let's say that was last year was a club in general. I don't know if
club supporters. It was rough.
Yeah, I don't think you can count against him. So after all that, you look at you look at a guy who's able to come in and prove himself. And look, 33 or not, at the end of the day, you see what he's doing. And I think that part, that crossing, the assisting, I think that was always in his game. It's just a matter of when Shaq Moore was on that right side, and maybe with Gary Smith, he leaned on Shaq Moore as the attacking right back. Or the attacking
before that,
back.
You had Alistair Johnston. So.
Correct. And with them, but going forward, as Dan Lovitz, you stayed back, and he was playing center back for a good amount of time too. or even cover on that left side. So unleashing him with this BJ system has paid dividends. And I do have a funny anecdote about the goal scoring. So after he scored his first goal, we asked BJ Callahan about this in the press conference, and he was like, "Oh yeah, Dan has been like essentially bugging us to put him in attacking set pieces." Like he was like, he asked to be there, and we kind of like, laughed it off or whatever. And then they put him there, he scored, and then he scores again. So I asked him after the Atlanta game, I was like, are you just gonna you think you've solidified your spot in the attacking set pieces? And he was very like, we'll see.
He gave
like,
a really nice political answer.
Yeah, but like, come on. Like, if you're BJ Callahan, you got somebody who scored twice from set pieces, you're probably going to keep him in there.
Hey, feed the hungry dog, man.
That's right.
Strike while the iron's hot.
Yeah, absolutely. Dan Lovitz, like I said, having a year. I remember late in the season, last season, and even like off season prior to not picking up Joey Skinner's contract, I was like, is that a guy coming, back from injury from Huntsville? Looked good his first season, and then is that somebody who might be challenging, and then didn't renew that contract? And so there's really not anybody to challenge, especially now with Taylor Washington getting injured. Not really anyone to challenge. So I think that spot is Dan's to lose right now, and I'm excited seeing what he's provided this season. But let's move on, because yes, Dan had the goal, but we've got an assist on that set piece. Set pieces are actually starting to come together a little bit more. I think that's BJ Callahan's coaching, but Hani Mukhtar, getting another assist. Are we seeing him start to heat up Logan, or is this more of like a one-off brilliance that we just saw, like we're starting to see something, or are we going to see another dip like we do sometimes with him?
So we've said it a million times already, but Hani's not the same player that he was 2 years ago when he won the Golden Boot. It is a very different style of game that he's playing now, and honestly, I love it. I think it's great that we have 9 different goal scorers at the moment. We have assists coming from him left and right, on top of having 4 goals already, which is just insane. I think that it's something that is developed this year, that he's kind of morphing into this different style of play that he's doing without taking away from his attack. The assists are just another part of his game that we've seen for a long time, that we're going to continue to see more of, and it's just going to open more avenues for everyone. He has become more team-minded this year, at least from the fan perspective, if you will, our fanalist side of things. He has become this team-minded player this year, and more of that leadership role that we've said for a while we knew he could be and move into. So I think it's just something that is coming into. Yes, some people are saying, oh, he's finally heating up, oh, he's finally getting into this. Nah, he's been there from day one. It's just people are starting to recognize what he's moving into and what he's changing into.
And Hani Mukhtar was never brought in to be the striker.
Guy. Yep.
That was never, he wasn't supposed to be a striker. He came in as a creator, number 10. And I think that's where you see him thriving in this system a little bit, is when he is a little bit further from Sam Surridge, where he has a little bit of space and a little bit of freedom to go back and get deeper and maybe create a little bit more than he scores. He's still scoring, which is good. But yeah, I think the idea was never for him to be that sort of man leading the attack. It was more of a facilitator rather than a goal scorer, really. And I think as he gets older, he's probably going back to that more and more, because you don't have the legs. And I do want to give a quick point on set pieces, though. John Bello is an assistant coach who handles all attacking set pieces, and BJ Callahan has given him multiple sort of props on his work. He said he studies that a lot and does that. So I think some credit has to be given to him, because it's clearly an advantage for Nashville SC, those attacking set pieces.
Nobody dare take John Bello away from us.
Now that his name is out there, Valair, on this podcast.
How dare you? You know how many other people listen to us? It's at least tens of people from other supporter groups all around the MLS.
All right. Well, let's move on. Nashville, did have the most possessions. They had the higher goals expected. What is this, Valair? How do you attribute this to the game execution and the plan into Atlanta?
Yeah, I think for Nashville, the start just wasn't great. I thought Atlanta came out a little bit more aggressive than Nashville expected. But when you look at the whole game, look, this is a team that Atlanta spent in one window way more than Nashville have spent in their entire existence in MLS. Now, Atlanta is a bad team. Look at the table, right? This is not something that I would say. However,
surprisingly bad because of how much they spent and what they
exactly. And I think the expectation from the fans saying, "Oh, we should have won that," is totally understandable because expectations change. So, like, if you had asked somebody in February, "Hey, you go to Mercedes-Benz Stadium, you get a 1-1," everybody would have been like, "That's a great result. We'll take it."
Yep.
Now, if you look at now, Nashville SC wins a few games, Atlanta loses a few games, then you're like, oh, wait, no, Nashville SC should be winning this. And in all honesty, they should have won this if it wasn't from 2 or 3 incredible saves from Brad Guzan, who is like 85 now, but, still able to perform, still able to save Atlanta. And he's done that on multiple occasions this season and last season for Atlanta. It could have been even worse for them. For them, I thought it was really surprising for Atlanta to sit off and defend for that long. It was really bizarre. They were playing at home, but for like 60 minutes, they just didn't have any interest in anything other than counterattacks.
Yep.
But for Nashville, really, I think you take a draw away from home because in this league, those are not easy and not a given. I think the main thing with this very busy May schedule is you take the points at home. I think that's going to be NSC's sort of mission for this long stretch coming up in May.
And let's be honest.
So that's a good segue to. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that. I mean, let's be honest. That first 20 minutes, it looked like Nashville was standing still. I think some of it, just some of the players were trying to get used to playing in the bins. The bins is a huge, and it's so different because we got lucky enough on the unified match. Shout out to the Atlanta supporters and the Nashville supporters who stuck around for the unified match. That was awesome. Thank you to all you guys. I know we had asked you guys to do it. We were going to ask you again to do it this coming Saturday because we're playing the unified match against Charlotte, and it is a later time, but we still want you guys out there. But that first 20 minutes, it felt like those new players that had come in, which, let's be honest, there's a lot of new players that are starting now with Nashville. It took them a minute to almost acclimate to the system, or even just the environment. And also the turf. Yeah,
that's a different game playing.
It's
on
just
turf.
one of those crazy things that happens every time we go there. It's just a slow start, but we always end up pulling out a pretty good result most of the time.
So do y'all feel, and I'll start with Logan, do you feel that this is because it's an away match, but because Atlanta's been bad, is this a point gained or 2 points lost?
This is a point gained. We started with it not being in a great position, but this is 100% 2 points or not 2 points lost. We needed to come back. We needed that point on the road, and anytime we can get any points on the road is a victory.
Yeah,
right,
I would agree.
Direct that question to you.
Yeah. I would agree.
Okay.
I would agree with that assessment. I think the only thing I'd say is that I wouldn't say 2 points drop, but I would say maybe an opportunity loss a bit in that
to capitalize on a 7-2 win going into there.
Yeah.
Yes. And I think ultimately, I don't think many people are going to remember this Atlanta match once it's all said and done, right? But I think the players, they might look at it more so that points dropped rather than the fans. Because I think there's this culture. Well, not I think there's this culture shift in Nashville SC where they expect the best out of themselves, and I think they welcome fans expecting the best out of them just by talking to BJ Callahan, talking to the players, and I think that sort of culture is not satisfied with the draw, even if mentally it makes sense. I think their drive wants them to have more than that.
Hey, let's take a really fast break. We do have another match that we want to get to, as well as some of the young players that played in that match. So you guys want to stick around because we've got some cup talk that we got to get into. We'll be right back. Are you tired of neck or back pain? Maybe it's shoulder pain or headaches get in the way of your busy life. Well, Christ Chiropractic is right here in Franklin, Tennessee, and they've been helping families and professionals live their best life for over 25 years. They specialize in spinal decompression therapy and chiropractic adjustments that are there to tackle the pain and get down to the root cause without drugs, without surgery. So whether it's stress from work or chasing your kids around, they have got you covered. Visit christchiropractic.com. That's CRIST chiropractic.com to schedule your appointment and take the first step toward living a pain-free life.
Welcome back, everybody. We are going to talk a little bit more about our U.S. Open Cup match. Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup is officially underway for those in the MLS. Round of 32 was played this week, and luckily on Tuesday we got to play a little home turf derby, if you will, a little bit of a Tennessee derby. Man, Chattanooga Red Wolves came in, 2 Geodas. They've now had 2 in the U.S. Open Cup alone. Tennessee state derbies, if you will, like almost like a hometown. Austin will not call it hometown. Look at his face. He's already upset that I'm calling them Chattanooga Red Wolves, but a hometown derby. And then now an in-state match. That's insane. That I don't think has that ever happened.
Not for Tennessee.
Not for Tennessee, I know for sure, but it's still even within
because Chattanooga wasn't playing against NSC or Memphis back.
They played against NFC Chattanooga.
They played against
but not Memphis. I was thinking like back.
I don't think that was Open Cup at all. Yeah.
But either way, man, they came in and we ended up getting a little one up on them, if you will. Nice little advancement secured to the round of 16. All right, I just want a quick idea of your thoughts on the match. Valair, let's start.
I'll try to keep it quick, but it was very boring for the most part.
Yep.
I think
100%.
The word I kept using on Tuesday night was enough. Nashville SC were like, all right, this is enough, and we're going to do enough to go through. I thought a couple of the players impressed, and I know we're going to get into it, but other players maybe didn't put as much of a stamp in terms of trying to get into BJ Callahan's plans. I'm talking about maybe somebody like Teal Bunbury. I thought he could have done a little bit better. Not that I mean, you can only take so much from a game against a Division III team. If he scored a hat trick, would have probably been like, oh yeah, it's a hat trick, but it's against Chattanooga. So I don't want to go too hard on the guy, but yeah, I thought him and maybe Ahmed Qasim could have done a little bit better as well. I just think these players are pushing for the starting lineup, and having an opportunity like that, kind of not capitalizing on it, maybe is a little bit not ideal for them. But look, Nashville for the first time has depth, so you have Shabilla and Surge for a reason, and they're going to cover for those 2 guys until they get into form, right? And then there were a ton of guys.
When was the last time we saw Teal play a full 90? I mean, like I'm pretty sure this was the longest he. I mean, what was it? Colorado last season? Like that was like the first time he had played like a full 90.
Yeah, it's probably the last time.
That was early. That was like second match of the season or something when Sam Surge was still injured. So it's been a while since he's played that long. He looked a little gassed towards the end. But yeah, I mean, like you were saying, like a little more concerning, I think, was the Ahmed Qasim. I think his issue is more like between the ears. He's got all the talent in the world. I think he's like one step slow in his decision making. But once he can get that, if you can coach that up, I think he's going to be a big addition that we saw when he was making the quick decisions and just get it and shoot, get it and pass. Like he was actually, the Philly game. We were seeing some good flashes from him, but last night I was hoping he would show a little bit more, and he didn't. But friend of the pod did get a goal last night, Josh Bauer.
His fourth goal now in a gold.
Yeah, fourth goal in his tenure with Nashville SC, third goal this season. And that's pretty exciting. I saw, was it the Instagram story that he said he's got his finishing boots on? And they were asking who's the better goal scorer, and they asked him and Hani, and Hani was like, 3 shots and 3 goals. How do you compete with that? So, but he did get his goal. How important is his scoring been this season, where goals have sometimes been a little more difficult to come by in some of these kind of matches, Logan?
Dude, it's extremely important. And this goes back to what I kind of said with, how we've opened up, how we were playing with Dan Lovitz scoring, with our defenders being the guys that you have to mark now. Not just on set pieces, but on rebounds, in the final third, on that outside. When you have guys like that are making shots and just rocketing one into the back, now you're concerned about not just marking, Sam Surge, not just marking Hani Mukhtar. You've got Andy Nahar, you've got Jason Palacios, who we got to say hi to last night. Also, I know he wasn't dressed, but it was cool he was there. And dude, he's got a goal. You've got Jack Mayer, who's back there, who's been a pretty heavy presence on set pieces as well. And then of course Dan Lovitz with 2 goals in net. It's just who are you going to stop? How in the world do you mark somebody, especially in that final third, because it can come from anywhere. And so it's huge. That's one of my biggest takes on the whole match, is just the fact that there he is again. It's Josh again. Josh is doing it.
Yeah, exactly. And Valair, I'm sure that you guys have talked about it over on Pharmaceutical Soccer, but we have 9 different goal scorers already this season. It's exciting to see. It's also, I feel like it's opening up a little bit more for our strikers. And then the fact that we have defensemen who can play cleanup is exciting. But let's move to more of our young guys, because we had a lot of new faces, maybe not new faces to Nashville. We've seen a lot of these players on the pitch, but not a lot. And so let's talk about who you think of these young guys who got the start shine brightest for you. Valair, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of answers that would be valid here, honestly, but I'll go with Matt Corcoran. He's a guy we saw twice to start the year, and maybe was found a little bit out of his depth in Red Bull Arena, or Sports Illustrated Arena.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. But
it's okay. You can say Red Bull.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to come after me for it. But when I say he's seen out of his depth, I don't mean necessarily was miles off, but maybe him and Whitemeyer both starting there, just, if he started there with maybe an informed back or an Eddie Taxon, things might have been a little bit different, right? So maybe he was, he's a kind of a victim of just having enough midfielders and having the sufficient depth that we talked about a little bit ago. But I thought he was really good. There was a point in the first half, and he pinged this beautiful ball, and it was a diagonal, and it was a run maybe by Bauer, I don't know, somebody on the right side. And that vision is just incredible. I just don't think, for a kid who's 18 years old, and yes, he's still a kid, he's 18, and to have that vision, to have the confidence to play that ball is really, really refreshing and nice to see. I think that's something that Nashville SC are planning. They want to do more of, which is those long balls that are, a little bit more diagonal, a little bit more. What's the word? They have intention behind them, right? And I think for him, he was pretty secure on the ball. He was getting kicked pretty hard by Red Wolves players. And he was
yellows I think they came against.
Yeah. And he was close to the goal. He was playing really well in terms of attacking, but also when needed, he was putting in the effort and defending. So I think he only did himself favors there. And when you look at 9 matches in May, we might see a little bit more of Matt Corcoran coming in, filling in those very, very like.
That's a good point.
These midfield spots, these two sort of midfield spots, 2-6s or whatever you're going to call them, they are so labor intensive. I mean, these players, Patrick Yazbek and Eddie Taxet are consistently in the most ground covered in the players' rankings. I mean, Eddie Taxet runs like 10 miles a game at this point. It's crazy. So, like, when you have that much effort going into it, you're going to need to keep the rotation going. We saw Brian Acosta, obviously, somebody else who came in, not necessarily a young player, but just debuted.
Yeah.
I mean, we haven't seen him,
So between Brugman, Acosta, Taxeth, and Yazbek, it's really hard to break into those 4. But Matt Corcoran, with a good performance against the Red Wolves, I think gives BJ a little bit of something to think about when deciding who to play next.
Absolutely. Logan, who is somebody who like shine brightest for you?
Golly, well, off air, if you will, Valair reminded me of somebody, and I'm torn between 2. But he's been with the first team a little bit. I'll just give him his shine. Johnny Perez has been lightning quick, but the guy I really want to focus in on, and again, Johnny Perez, proud of you. I've been calling your number for a while. I'm excited to see you out there. But Wyatt Meyer, that man locked down that center mid. He did amazing back there, made quick decisions on the passes when he need to, and just looked like a linebacker on set pieces. Kept that pocket clean for Brian, and it was awesome because, again, that's Brian's first start for Nashville also.
Yeah. And I'm gonna call you out on Pod, Logan, and Tunji's not here to defend himself, so I'll call him out too. When y'all were calling, I will say, when y'all were calling for Ahmed Kassem, I brought up Johnny Perez and said, no. This is the guy who's going to bring the creativity. This is the guy who's going to bring the energy. And
so is this your guy?
Over these last few matches that we've seen Johnny Perez, last night as of recording, the Red Wolves match included, I think Johnny Perez is the guy who that is the future of Nashville. Now, if I'm not mistaken, Valair, you can help me out with this. We've got him on loan with the rights to buy, correct?
Correct. That price is set pretty high.
Okay.
And I don't think Nashville SC will pay. I think it's like $1 million in GAM or something. Don't quote me on it.
He's with Galaxy right now, right?
Yes. However, that whole negotiation and loan was before the cash transfers were introduced to the league. So that adds a whole new element to it, to where you don't have to give up GAM to get a player on a contract. So I will not be surprised if Nashville SC kicks in the $500,000 to the Galaxy in cash and say, give us this player. Now, whether or not the Galaxy takes him, whether or not he wants to stay in Nashville, these are all up in the air. I think his contract runs out in July with Nashville SC. So his loan, not contract. So he is due back at the Galaxy unless something is agreed before that.
And let's be honest, Galaxy is in desperate need for somebody there. They are winless now through 11 matches and just lost one with, again, no shots.
No shots again.
They might raise the price.
Maybe they take the cash. Yeah, maybe they take the cash and then look in the summer transfer window for something.
Or they just take Johnny back because they're desperate for anybody that can score. And let's be honest, he should have scored last night. Or he should have scored Tuesday. That was an amazing goal. He took the great shot. Flowers to him, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's shown bright. Another guy we can talk about is Chris Applewhite, 17 years old, getting his first start, making history. What does this say? I mean, we're talking about these young guys. I'll start with Logan and then go back over to Valair. What does this say about Nashville's trust in the youth development?
Well, I know we've said several times that BJ is looking to develop youth. He's looking to move people up. This is not necessarily BJ's guy, but him recognizing the talent and giving those guys the opportunity to go ahead and come up, to go ahead and get on the pitch. Him having not only just his first start, he already had his debut, but him having his first home start, or his first start at home. He's the first homegrown player ever to start for Nashville SC. That is huge. And it's absolutely huge. I think that we have seen our academy in the works over the last several years. And I'm excited that it's showing its fruit now.
Yeah, I think it was always going to take a little bit of time to get it going, to get it set up. And it takes multiple things to come along to start getting these products going. And look, we all know the chances of these players all making it and being superstars are very slim and very low. Yep. And they know it too. However, when you come across a player like Chris Applewhite, who's been discussed by multiple people, not just Nashville SC people, you see him on the USMNT prospects list, you see him across the league and across the nation. People speak about Chris Applewhite and his ability to play center back at 17 is a lot, because center backs are usually a little bit older with a lot more experience, right? So I think coming in, he played very calmly and was able to, get a clean sheet. I know it wasn't just him getting a clean sheet. Everybody got a clean sheet. But hey, that's something that's going to go on his record that I think is nice. And he's not only the first homegrown player to start for NSC, he's the youngest ever player to start for NSC, a record that was held by Matt Corcoran earlier this year. He was 18. Chris Applewhite, being 17, gets that record from him now. So there's a clear sort of push towards younger and getting younger from BJ Callahan. And I think an important piece, a very, very important piece in terms of player development, is trusting them and giving them the right trust. Now, you do have to earn it. But once you earn that trust and you get your opportunity, you also have to earn keeping that opportunity, right? And I think that's the one thing that BJ Callahan maybe is more willing to give than a lot of coaches, that trust earlier on in players' careers. We've already seen it with a couple of players that we've mentioned, right? And I think there's going to be more and more coming in of that. But we even saw it last year. I mean, players like Jordan Knight got a call. Joey Skinner, I know he didn't continue with the organization. He got a call. So you see it being given, and a lot of players, when you give them that trust, it actually levels up their game, right? Because you think, okay, this organization cared about me, this coach cares about me, so I'm gonna be a little bit, I'm gonna give it my all, right? And I think this has been the youth movement, if you would, has been one of the promises that were given with the Nashville SC 2.0 that's already been delivered, and I think overall they're just kind of delivering on those promises so far. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, that's something that's been exciting. It was something that we've talked about, like just the excitement of BJ coming in, just more of that development, more of his history in that, hoping that academy, because the more starts, I mean, we've mentioned it before, but the more starts that we're seeing from these academy players, the more playing time they were seeing. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like that's giving Nashville's academy more spotlight. It's also making it more attractive for players to possibly come into that academy. Because, I mean, for those of you who are newer to watching MLS and newer to watching just American soccer, I mean, people move from all over to come to these academies to play for these teams. And so the more that you can make your club attractive, the more talent you're actually going to bring in that youth development age.
And it's not just the academy. I do want to say it's Huntsville as well. We did a feature on Super Soccer. We went down to Huntsville and spent the day with them and saw the operation. So I'll plug it, go see Inside. It's called Inside Huntsville, Inside Huntsville City FC. Me and Ronan, who does a great job covering Huntsville City FC for us, actually at 615 Soccer, we went down and saw and talked to the people in charge, players, coaches, all sorts of stuff. And it's a really nice operation down there. And I think that's another thing that kind of you can sell for players of a second team that's in its own market that kind of does all these things right. So you're selling the whole organization, not just the academy or the second team or the first team. You're saying, hey, this is all an attractive offer for you.
There's just so much opportunity for people when it comes to Nashville, starting from, young development up. And now all of that engine is really working really well, especially we're seeing, again, the fruits of it now. We're starting to see the fruits come through it. And Valair, you're absolutely right. Huntsville's great. We've actually had a couple of Huntsville guys on, if you will, with Joey Skinner. I know he was with the first team, but played a lot of his time in Huntsville. And then we also had Eric Latta on, the Huntsville goalie. We're starting to see a lot of those guys and see, some of the real talent that Nashville is attracting to its squads. Now, speaking of young talent and young talented people, we're going to take a quick break and then come back. And obviously the youngest, most talented person on this podcast who, has the least amount of hair at the moment, but that's okay. We're going to interview Valair coming up right after the break. What's up, Mixtape family? The new season's around the corner. In fact, it's already here, and it's time to turn it up. Tailgates, away match days, the whole shebang.
And here's the play. Our official watch party spot this season is going to be Lucky's 3-star bar. That's 3 stars out of 5. And it's just a short walk from Geodis Park on 4th Ave.
Nah, man, I'm giving them 5 stars out of 5 because Lucky's is where it is at. The pregame is strong, catching every single minute of the action, watching our Nashville SC boys get the dub with the dopest supporter group in all of Nashville.
And you already know you can still get lit with me at Lucky's. Cold drinks, glizzy, screens everywhere. The vibe is undefeated.
So roll up with your squad. In fact, you're part of our squad. Come to Lucky's 3-star bar. It's our new away match day headquarters. Let's make this season legendary.
Big energy all season long. Let's get it.
Yeah. And we're back from being back again. Oh no, I've pulled a Tunji. But we are back, everybody, and we are gonna talk a little bit more. Austin, don't get us taken off the air. But we are going to talk a little bit more about Valair. Just to give a little bit of background on you, Valair. I kind of want to know: did you grow up playing soccer?
A lot, yeah. So this is gonna take us maybe in a weird way, but I'm from Iraq. I'm from Baghdad, Iraq. Yep. I was born and raised there, and I moved to Nashville when I was 14. Now in Iraq, soccer is not just like something we play or do. It's like everything in life. It's soccer. I played every day of my life. I watched every day of my life. I talked about it every day of my life. And I wanted to continue that as I came to America. And actually, a lot of what I used to learn English and make friends and kind of get in the community was around soccer, a lot of it. So when I first moved here, it was it was pretty helpful to know a game. It was mainly just me and a bunch of like Mexican kids who also didn't speak English, and I didn't speak English, and we kind of just played soccer every day in our like apartment complex, and we were able to communicate somehow, but we communicated through soccer a lot. So it's very important to me. Yes. Really long way to answer your question.
No, hey, no, it's a good to know. This is a get to know you, Valair. It's a get to know you. Wow. This is so nice. I feel so special. All right, so you played soccer growing up, all the time. You played when you lived here as a high schooler. Did you play any in college, or was that kind of high school?
I didn't play like good. See, this is the part that you missed. I have always been like,
I love how you said you played. You never stated what your level of play was.
Yeah. I just said I played it. I didn't say it was good. Like I played it, and I was just like,
that's like me. It's like I played soccer, but
that's like me. I play golf, but
they put me in defense a lot to the point where I started liking being a center back. Yeah. And that was mainly driven by my weight. Like there was no other qualification to be a center back. It was just like, you look kind of big, just go back there, but over time I've grown to really like playing center back. But no, I didn't play for a high school team or college team or anything like that. But it's one of those things, again, when you grow up with the game, it's like you go out in the street, everybody's playing. We're playing in my garden, back home. Like it's just something you did as a kid, and I just kind of carried that with me always.
Yep. When did you now moving forward? Let's fast forward. You're covering Nashville SC now. When did that start, and how did that come about for you?
Man, so that technically started in 2019 when we started our podcast, but I didn't make the switch to the media portion of it, I guess, to the more sort of press conference and that sort of stuff until 2022, which was the second year of Geodis 2023. Sorry, 2023. So the podcast started in 2019, and for those years we did episodes pretty much on weekly basis. We were on the radio for a while on 102.5 The Game for a little bit, and then got kind of faded out a little bit, and then we started doing it independently again. So I was always covering Nashville since 2019, but really didn't start taking it a little bit more seriously till Broadway Sports. I kind of got a gig with them there and started writing a little bit for them and I used to do a series called Film Friday and stuff like that, where I would do a film breakdown of Nashville SC tactics. So 2023 was when I switched to fully media, if you would. They like to give me a hard time for it on our show. But 2019 was the actual podcast start time.
Okay.
Well, and now Broadway Sports, all of the soccer stuff we used to do on Broadway Sports, Ben Wright and I took it, and we were co-founders with Chris Ivey, who also writes for us. Yeah. And we founded 615 Soccer and kind of combined forces with Pharmaceutical and a couple of the other guys. Like Nashville SC Stats is run by Jeff Remlinger, sorry, and a couple other guys who cover Nashville SC, whether it's from a supporter's perspective or, more media perspective, I guess.
Well, talk to us a little bit about that. Like, how did that 615 Soccer start to kind of turn into a reality? Like, when did that idea of bringing the collective together under one roof really start?
Yeah, I mean, you guys would know more than anyone else, like covering soccer in America is pretty hard. And honestly, like just to say it bluntly, there's very little money in it. The guys who are getting paid are few and far in between. And most people are doing it as a labor of love. And that's just the reality of where soccer is in America right now. So when you're talking about people like myself putting in 7 years or 6 years of coverage, or to varying extents, right? And then somebody like Ben Wright, who he writes for MLS Soccer, he writes for Give Me Sports, he writes for Backheeled as well, and for 615 Soccer. We just found out, Ben and I were always talking. We were both on the Broadway team, and we were always talking about creating something that's soccer specific, something that it's a one-stop shop for Nashville SC fans who can go in there and get everything they need, whether it's written material or video or audio or whatever. And the idea was always there. It just meant that we kind of have to start something new, and that's always a little scary, right? But something that gave us a little bit of motivation is we had the Patreon for Pharmaceutical, for Pharmaceutical, for my podcast. And while the numbers weren't great, we just kept getting these great reviews, and people would stop us and tell us they like the show, or tell me they like my writing, or tell Ben they like his writing, or whatever. And once we got that feedback and we had those Patreon members already kind of signed up, we were like, you know what? There's enough for this market to have its own soccer thing. And there's a few markets in MLS that have this sort of situation, the subscription model sort of thing that is fan driven more than anything else, right? And we were able to start that, and we had a goal for our first 6 months. We had a goal set up, and we crushed that goal within 4 hours of launching. So
that's awesome.
That's huge.
It caught us off guard a little bit of how much fans cared about this and cared about our work. But at the same time, it was a really nice moment where we got to celebrate something where you work so hard for years for something, right? And then you see that people believe in you and believe in the product that you put out. And I think if you ask most of our subscribers, I don't think we've let them down. only one has canceled since then. So just them. But
that's good retention right there. That's good retention.
Hey, and that just goes to show that you were scratching the right itch, you know?
Yeah. And I think that comes a lot of it from actual traditional media folks just maybe not caring as much or not knowing as much about soccer. And that's okay. I think if you want coverage for the team, you go and find it. That's the reality of soccer in America. Again.
And I can't tell you how many times, and like covering the team as long as you have, like when I go to try to find information, like as we're prepping for our podcast, as we're trying to bring the most breaking news as we can to the fans and kind of trying to be that voice of the fans, it's difficult in the MLS to find all the information that you want to find. You don't have the same kind of coverage as the NFL or the NBA or even MLB or NHL. You're having to basically find little things here and there and create information out of it. And so the things that y'all are doing with that, like getting that information, being that breaking story, I mean, it's really, really cool. Like, how did that really start? Like, how did y'all, because I mean, I know with Logan, with us, like Ben Wright had kind of become that guy of like anything breaking Nashville. It's like Ben Wright is right there and has it. And so how did that kind of come about that y'all get those stories?
Yeah, I mean, I think I want to give the right credit to the right people. Ben has been amazing to work with. He's somebody who's helped me out a lot. And it's not just him. I also want to give credit to people who maybe aren't part of the 615 Soccer, but Wes Bowling and Tim Sullivan beforehand, who do the Club and Country podcast. They also, maybe less so on the written portion now, but they also helped me out early on. Now we're talking about USL time and maybe early MLS time, but Ben has really been influential sort of the last few years with me. But I think a lot of it just has to do with doing it long enough and also asking the right question and knowing the right people, right? I mean, I think without giving, sources away or anything like that, but when you're around it for 6 years, you just kind of
we'll get those off air. We'll get those off air.
Yes. You get to know people, right? And you get to know things. Always. But you also, it's a huge responsibility because people trust you with things. And sometimes people tell you things that aren't meant for the public. And you just have to know that. Yep. And like right now, there are things that I know or Ben knows or even other reporters or whatever know, even fans maybe know, that just aren't public yet, and no one's going to say it because there's that code, there's something that and the other thing I want to say that we have to get pretty much double confirmation on anything that is breaking that isn't already announced. So we always have double confirmation. So like I'll give you an example. The U.S. playing Switzerland, we broke that story. Ben and I both did. We know about this like a month before, but we were just trying to get like a confirmation from a second source as well. So as soon as we got that, then we announced it, right? And it's just like it's stuff like that where we care about our reputation. We care about what we're putting out there because we hear a lot BS, honestly.
I'm sure.
You get people sending you all sorts of stuff like, this has happened, or this is happening. And it's just like, nah, man. But I want to say, like, Ben has a lot of connections also with MLS and that side of things, not just within the league, but just overall with other writers within the league. So he's a little bit more advanced in that sort of thing. But overall, I think breaking news is sort of like secondary to our actual job, which is, I think, is more so to analyze and to give good soccer coverage. And the breaking news is just a nice cherry on top that we sometimes get and sometimes we don't have.
So now I've got, one or two more really, honestly, but like, how do y'all decide who covers the, different stories?
So Ben is really good, and he gives me no time to do things because he's doing it already. So he's I think a lot of it just depends on who has time. As we mentioned earlier, covering soccer in America is very hard. So none of us do this full time. None of us are feeding our families off of this. So a lot of it has to do with who has time. Ben is a lot more focused on written stuff. I'm a lot more focused on audio stuff and video stuff. So most sort of press releases or things that are announced by Nashville SC, you'll see Ben put out a story about them. I take a little bit more of the analytical point. Ben also does some of that. So it's generally who has time and who's interested in what. Like I might have a story coming out soon that's just an idea I had and something I wanted to do, right? And then I'll just start doing it and working on it, and we'll find a time to post it. And but then the sort of like previews, we do previews for every game. We write a preview for every game. We split those. So like I'm doing the next two, and then Ben will be back and do one or two, and then I'll do one and he'll do one, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I caught him. I literally caught him Tuesday night recording the preview and then post match. Yeah, just got to say hi to him. I don't think I'd ever actually introduced myself to him, but it was cool to meet him, and he's a great guy. So last two questions. I want Austin to take one. I want to take one. But who has been your favorite player on the team to interview so far?
Ooh.
I know Kasim's, he's got that Iraq,
I know.
and that's got to be fun. But
so I've done press conferences with I think every single player at this point. But press conferences are a little different than interviews. So like I think in the interview you really get to know them one on one. Can I say somebody who's not with Nashville anymore?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Yeah, I did. I used to do this show called On Air with Valair, where it's like 45 minutes of just talk about whatever.
It was great.
I'm trying to bring it back, but there's a lot of whatever. I did an episode with Sean Davis, and it surprised me a little bit. But incredible guy. I mean, really deep thinker, and somebody who doesn't give you any BS.
Yep.
When you get in this business, I mean, there are guys out there who just want to answer what they've already thought about the answer 5 years ago, and they're still saying it.
The media answer, if you will.
Yeah, the coach speak type of thing. So when I ask Sean Davis something, he takes his time, he answers it right. And honestly, that episode is one of the things I'm really proud of, and I thought it came out really nicely. So I will say Sean Davis, I hope he finds a team soon, because maybe things didn't work out for him on the pitch for Nashville a whole lot, but overall as a guy, he was just an incredible guy to interview.
I mean, it looks like Galaxy are desperate for people right now, so
yeah, they released him because they couldn't afford.
I know, it's crazy. They might have to. All right, and then Austin, take the last one.
Well, I want to ask you one more question, and this is more of a fun one. And you don't have to give me a full answer. I just personally want to know, and we're the voice of the fans. We're not in that press conference room, so
yeah.
Have you ever had in the press conference room something that's been said or something that's been shared that they're like, let's pause, let's redo this, let's restart, we don't want to share that?
Oh, no. They know. I'm live when I'm in the press conference room.
There you go.
If they say something, it's game over. I will say something, though, about maybe not what you were asking, but similar story. The last press conference, which was that Gary Smith did, did before he was let go.
After the Toronto match, right?
Yes, after the win. Nashville SC post a press conference after every game. They didn't post that one. And I was so thankful that I had the footage from me and other media members who have their phones and usually are recording those, because I posted that video on Twitter, and I don't know if you remember this, but I asked Gary about like fans booing or something along those lines, or like fans not supporting them. And he gave a really, really like deep and good answer about how.
And I can't remember. You're gonna have to post that footage again or send it to us again, because that was I remember when that was like, man, that's such a good answer.
Yeah, I mean,
it did sound like the guy. It sounded like the man was about to leave, and the answer literally it had those shadow moments of it.
Yeah. He said I might not be here today or tomorrow, but these players will be here supporting the player. Like that was kind of like the final message. And he was about to leave the press conference. Like he was done. And I was like, one more, I just kind of raised my hand. I was like, one more, because I really had to get this out. And he like came back, sat down, and he hit like halfway over his seat. And getting that footage, Nashville SC didn't end up posting the press conference. Now, could have been technical issues. I don't know what happened there. So getting that footage was really important to me, and then being able to get that to the fans, because I think that's something that maybe, fans have their issues and sort of thoughts with Gary Smith. But I thought during press conferences, he was a talker. And as a journalist, you like a talker because you get a lot of stuff. You get a lot of good stuff out of it, right? And I really enjoyed that one piece. But other than that, it's a lot more boring than you think, man. It's a lot more boring than you think.
Hey, so you're still in there.
You're giving us the inside scoop here. So thank you. We're gonna close this out, but real quick, just before we end everything, why don't you go ahead and I know we've talked about it throughout the podcast tonight, but just share where everyone can find you guys.
Yeah, so 615 Soccer, if you just type in 615 Soccer, so type the whole thing in. So 615soccer.com is our website. You can find stories, podcasts, everything you need there. And also on Instagram and Blue Sky and Twitter. Now on Twitter, it is 615 the number, not the words, but I'm sure you'll find us around everywhere. And for me personally, Valair Shabilla, you probably don't know how to spell that. Do your best. You'll see a bald guy. Click follow on there. That's my spiel always.
There you go.
And I'm sure
it'll be follow the wrong bald guy. They all need support. So
yes. But 615 Soccer. I will say there's some free content as well. So you don't have to be a subscriber, but we would really love you to subscribe. $3 or $7. And I think my favorite thing about subscribers, if I can just tell you this one thing, is that no matter if you're $3 or $7 subscriber, you get access to our Discord, which is really fun because you get to talk to other fans and you get to talk to us. Everybody's on there, especially on match days. It gets hype. I can barely keep up. Everybody's typing. Everybody's excited, when you score the 7th goal and everybody's typing, whatever. A lot of memes and fun things. So, yeah, man, it's a good time. Join us.
Sounds great.
That's fun. Man. That's fun. Well, yes, hit them up, 615 Soccer. And those are the words written out, 615soccer.com. But we are going to wrap another episode. Do not forget, this week is the API night, Asian Pacific Islanders. We've got a fun tailgate. We are doing a joint tailgate with La Brigada de Oro. And so we are joining in with them. If you know awesome Addy, yeah, exactly. Our engineer is his aunt. Is that correct?
It's his aunt and sister, I believe.
And sister. Yeah. Coming in, bringing in amazing food. You do not want to miss that. We've got our API shirt that Logan is rocking right now. You can get that in yellow, white, and blue. Is that correct? Is that
yellow, white, color? And like a creamish color, like a
cream.
Color.
Okay, that's what it is. But guys, also this weekend, one more little plug. Stick around for the unified match after the Charlotte match. It's going to be a fun one. We want to show support. We are unified in our support with that. So maybe some Charlotte fans may come and hang out with us as we support both teams there. But we are going to wrap another episode of 615. Big love to all Mixtape 615. I just said 615.
Hey, right now we're all 615
Soccer. We are Mixtape 615 here. We're gonna wrap another episode. Big shout out to all of our listeners. We couldn't do it without you guys. Special shout out to our ace producer Doug Branson. I mean, he's covering NBA right now, simultaneously recording us and getting us set up. Shout out to Valair from 615 Soccer coming on. We love having guests. We love getting to know our guest as well. Don't forget, stay connected with us. Hit us up at mixtape615.com and on all of our socials, Instagram, Facebook, X, and all of that stuff. You can find us at Mixtape615. And for all of our video content, you can find us on YouTube at Mixtape615pod. But guys, keep it real, keep it vibing. Until next episode, Mixtape615 is signing off.